Okay, here it is. Here we are again, invading your space for at least hopefully an hour, but who knows at this point. First of all, I would like to say is it might be 2019 or it might be 2018.
It's definitely, I think, 2019.
They don't know that, so
they're like, no, I think it is 2019. I think the movie came out this year, right?
No, it came out in 2018.
Yeah. Fuck, maybe people do think the movie did 2018.
So, like I said, it might be 2018, it might be 2019, but who knows? Since nobody knows the fucking time span of these episodes. Anyways, I would like to say that the movie that we're going to talk about is one hell of a movie.
It's really interesting to think about too. We're gonna get into that. We just recently watched Bird Box, and that's
Birdcage.
It's Bird Box. I was like, what?
I've been calling it Birdcage for like at least 3
It's Bird Box, and the best way we can put this is that me and Renee decided to watch. Well, I decided to watch it because I was thinking that it was a lot of people said it was shitty.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. I'm going to go in there watching a funny The Happening Part 2.
Yeah.
And didn't get that. So I actually liked it a lot. I don't know what the fuck people
I
were
really
talking
did
about.
like it.
Yeah.
I kind of have some, I wouldn't say theories, but like, in my opinion, analysis that I would like to throw out there. I haven't told you any of them.
Okay, cool.
So I'll say that to the end. So I'm going to kind of hint at it, of what I'm thinking throughout at certain parts when we're talking about it, but I'll save it fully for like the end. So with that being said, let's just get right into it.
Okay, so the movie basically starts off. You get like we go to a shot, and it's like we're in a river.
Yeah, no, we're like it's like an overhead shot of.
It's like a river.
Yeah, a river.
It's definitely a river. Oh. And there's a river, and you hear like some sort of narration of somebody telling you that at the end of the river there is safety and it's safe there, and you're kind of like, what the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
You go to Sandra Bullock, which is I believe her name is Mallory.
Yeah, it's Mallory.
Yeah, Mallory in this film, and Sandra Bullock's telling her 2 children. Well, that's what we imply. These 2 children. She's telling them basically that they're gonna go and they got to go now, and that they can never open their eyes. And at that point in time, I'm kind of like, that's really strange.
Yeah.
I'm wondering why they can't open their eyes. And as they go out there, you kind of do realize it is pretty dim, and everything seems really shady. You're not really sure what's going on.
Yeah,
but you're very interested in it.
Yeah, as she's walking by, it's kind of like interesting because she's pacing, she's counting paces.
You can tell, you can basically tell that she had been figuring out how to move without seeing. Yeah, which is really interesting too.
And like we can tell that she's already been established at whatever place she's at, and these 2 children are just along for the ride with her.
Definitely, you do feel that these children, I assumed from the beginning that these children were hers. Yeah. So it looked like she had an idea that definitely she was taking them with her. Yeah. To accomplish whatever it was to get to safety. And it involved getting a boat and going into the river. And to be honest, when you really think about it, seeing her jump into a boat, which that already sounds really tough to do without seeing. Yeah. But to get into a boat and then to have no idea where you're going. You could have been going the wrong way. You don't even know. The water could have had a dam. You could have been not even moving. Yeah. You could have just hit a rock and then boom. And you wouldn't even have known. You would have been like, oh shit.
They're fucking dead.
You've been pulled like a damn grizzly bear come out of nowhere.
Fuck them all up.
Fuck them up real shitty. Look, basically we're kind of sidetracking. But yeah, it was really interesting that she had figured out how to get to the boat and from the boat to to continue on. So we go to that, right?
Yeah.
And from there we go to a scene where we go back in time, basically, and we find out she's like a painter or like an artist of the sort, and she is painting, and we find out she's pregnant, and we meet her sister Jessica at this point in time.
Was it her sister?
Yeah, it was her sister.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, I want to point out that if any of you play Mortal Kombat or if you fucking like Mortal Kombat, that this bitch looked like Kenshi throughout the entire film. And Kenshi was Liu Kang's blind brother. Just saying.
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
Because Kenshi wore the blind
yeah,
you know what I'm talking
Kenshi.
about?
Yeah.
You remember what I'm talking about?
I used to get fucked up by it online all the time. It was horrific. We're kind of sidetracking, but that is a good way to put that's an interesting
I just
analysis.
want to throw that out there that this fucking girl looks like Kenshi. And anyways, go into it. Sorry, Sean, but we
get to the point where Jessica's explaining that Mallory just got out of a relationship, but she's pregnant from the guy she formerly was with, which is
a horrible situation.
Yeah, horrible situation, but it's weird. It seems that she's given up basically kind of her lifestyle, I'm guessing. She has no interest in the child. She doesn't seem to have any desire for a career. She kind of just wants to live now.
Yeah, she's painting. She's an artist.
She's the artist with no sense of urgency with life or anything whatsoever.
From what I've seen, I thought she was like at least making money off of her art, but I don't even know.
She just focused so much on her art, and that you definitely knew that she still missed the guy she formerly was with. Definitely. She knew that she was heartbroken, basically. So we go from there, and she goes to basically get a checkup on her baby.
Yeah, I don't even know what those appointments are called.
That's where she meets her doctor. I forgot. Her doctor's name escapes me for the life of me. I completely forgot what her doctor's name was.
She becomes actually a really important
Dr.
character.
Lapham. Dr. Lapham. Yeah, she meets Dr. Lapham, and they have like a nice little conversation, and they explain.
I mean, it kind of shows like how she actually feels about pregnancy. She sees it. It almost looks like she sees it as like
that's really interesting too, because she explains in that point that like she has no interest, and the doctor knows, and she basically offers her the idea of adoption if she wants to give her child away. And it's really interesting too that when she was walking up, we kind of went a little bit ahead, but before, when she was getting to the hospital, she walked up and she sees this lady on the phone. And not only that, there had been reports already earlier in the film that in Russia there was some mass suicides going on.
Yeah.
And the people basically were going crazy, but a lot of people didn't know why. Yeah. And this girl's on the phone. And when this girl is on the phone, you realize she's just talking to somebody, and it's real casual. It's just kind of like, it's just out there. Small talk, but you're like, I wonder why this is here. Well, when she's done with her appointment, she walks out, and she realizes this woman that was on the phone just chilling, she grabs the window, starts smashing her head in, boom, boom, like a woodpecker. Brutally. So you can see the blood in the actual, like, glass. And I was like I looked at her and I was like, oh, fuck, this is a lot. And he's like,
I didn't know what to think.
I was just shocked. I was like, wow, this is a lot of just viciousness. So
they get like terrified or whatever, and they just like leave.
What I found very interesting too is she just starts walking away, and the woman that's smashing her head into the glass, they're trying to stop her, but she looks straight in Mallory's eyes.
Yeah,
and she looks at her, and there's no emotion. And at that point, you could tell Mallory was like, this is something's not right here. Yeah. And I like that because the characters are a little bit smarter. Like they're not kind of like, I don't know what's going on. They just know something's wrong. Yeah. So Mallory decides, I'm gonna get the fuck out of here. She's running. It kind of sucks because she's pregnant. So she can't move that quick. She gets to the car. She goes in there. She tells Jessica, hey, we gotta go. Whatever happened in Russia is coming here, and it's happening now. Jessica's like, what the heck are you talking about? And as that happens, she sees the car accident come out of nowhere, and multiple car accidents start happening.
Yeah, and people start like running around.
People are just dying left and right.
Yeah.
And she's like, what the heck? So Jessica starts driving away. They're kind of like worried. They don't know really what they're gonna do. And Mallory decides like, hey, we need to do something. Like we gotta go somewhere. We gotta find like a failsafe until everything blows over.
Immediately thinking of solutions. What to do.
And Mallory goes to the back to try to get because somebody, I think, I think that somebody was calling Jessica, so Mallory decides I need to grab the phone from the back, and it's like in the back of the car, which is like everybody's biggest pet peeve. So she tries to grab the phone in the back of the car, and when or the SUV, I guess
it looks like a weird.
It was like a
station.
It was like a station wagon.
It's a weird station.
So
wagon.
as she tries to grab the back, you hear Jessica go, "What is that?" And for me, I was like, "What?" Then she goes, "What is that? Oh my God." And then she's like, "I can't believe," like she was so mesmerized. And you go back to Mallory. Mallory looks straight at the same direction, and she doesn't see anything. She's like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
And at that point, Jessica like loses control of herself, starts driving very quickly and like dodging people. And Mallory's like, "What the heck? What the heck? What are you doing? What are you doing?" And she loses control of the vehicle. They like hit the curb like as if it was a skateboard with the car. Flies up.
It flips the car over. They hit another car.
What's it called? What they do?
Kickflip?
Kickflip. Car kickflip.
I used to do them all the time in GTA 4.
GTA 4. It's like a car kickflip. She hits the floor, which it's crazy to think that all happened. And then they both just get out like, "Hey, are you good?" But no, they don't.
No, they were completely unharmed.
They were. And the cars flipped literally upside down.
I don't know. In this world, there's superhumans that they can fucking survive car crashes, and an infant is completely fine in her belly. Anyways, like
that is really
think about that.
That is a lot to think of.
So what happens is that Jessica climbs out the car. They both climb out. Mallory's just kind of like startled by the car wreck, and she's just like, I don't know what to do.
I found that scene really interesting because you see Jessica get up, she walks a little bit away, she looks like she's looking for something, but you're kind of like, what is she looking for? Like, what is it that she's looking for? And as she just looks back once at Mallory, she walks ahead and gets hit by a truck horrifically,
fucking
completely
nasty.
Smashed. You know
that shit was nasty.
You know she just accepted death. And at that point, Mallory was like panicking, and you could see the hysteria. Like everybody, like was freaking out. Apocalypse was upon them, and people were dying left and right. And you see Mallory's face, and she doesn't know what. She's just in shock. She's just in so much shock. She's looking at everybody at once. Cars are flying. People are hitting. People are like pushing her because they're just panicking.
Okay, so actually, we saw in the scene, sorry to cut you off, but like actually in the scene, like you can see her eyes like turn black.
Who?
With Jessica's eyes.
I know that. I saw that. Yeah.
So, I wanted to ask you, like, what do you think she had saw? Because you said something really interesting during the movie, like when we were watching it. But
what do you mean?
Like
when she was looking in her eyes,
when we were like speculating what was happening, you were just like, maybe she sees like beyond.
I think whatever best way I could put it was I thought originally when I was watching the film, like throughout the film, whatever these people were seeing, it was just so much to the human mind they could not live to see it.
Okay.
And I thought that was really complex. I was like, wow, like this must be something. Whatever they see, it's something.
It's
so unbelievable to the point where they just can't live anymore.
They can't take it.
They can't take it.
They can't take whatever.
But then I thought that, right?
Yeah.
But as the scene goes on, which we will explain, Mallory is like trying just to find. I don't even think Mallory has this has an idea of what she's gonna do. Yeah. She starts running hysterically, like where am I gonna go? And she's running and then she falls, and then she's just on the floor. She doesn't know where to go. She looks at a house, and then this lady realizes she's pregnant. Yeah. And this lady is with her husband.
Her husband, Douglas.
Douglas, yeah.
Which is John Malkovich.
John Malkovich. Dude, when I saw that it was John Malkovich was in the movie, I was like, wow. Wow, the fuck. This is going to be great.
How the fuck did they get John Malkovich?
So he tells her, he's like, what are you doing? You can't go out there.
And this is a despicable bastard. Already.
He was. So his wife goes out there. She's like, she's pregnant. We've got to help her. And he just goes inside like, nah, fuck that.
He's all, fuck
As he goes inside, he's just chilling. And you see her go up to her, and she's like, are you okay? Are you okay?
Yeah.
And she like tries to pick her up, and as she goes to pick her up, she looks up, and then she says, Mom?
Yeah.
Is that you, Mom? oh, it's so good to see you.
And she starts walking.
I might be butchering that, but she just starts walking forward.
They get the gist of it.
They get the gist of it. And as she says that, I was kind of like, whoa, like, what's... So my analogy originally, right?
Yeah.
My analogy was whatever they see, they can't take.
Yeah.
But at that point, I thought to myself, I realized, like, there must be something else.
There has to be, yeah.
What I mean, it's something else, there must be more than one.
Yeah, more than one way?
More than one way. Whatever they look at, there must be something, there must be more than one type.
Okay.
Because no longer are they just dying from seeing something that's so unbelievable or beautiful.
Yeah. Okay.
Some of them are dying in, maybe, I guess in their minds, they're to believe that is the solution to getting to whatever they desire the most.
Yeah, okay.
So that's why I was thinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
So I believe at that point, for myself, I recognized I was like, either it's an infection.
Yeah.
Because I was implying there must be an infection of some sort, or there must be something there that we ourselves cannot see.
Yeah.
So she goes on, and this man comes out of nowhere. This man's name is Tom. He's a very important character throughout the film.
Okay.
And he picks her up.
He was the one from Moonlight, right?
Yeah, he's actually the main. And he was also in our other film, The Predator, in case you want to listen to that episode. One of our former episodes.
Let her plug her own shit, Sean.
We never plug our own shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, he's in that, and he basically helps her up. He tells her to keep your eyes down,
Yeah.
as they get themselves inside.
And yeah, I mean, he pretty much already figured it out.
Yeah.
Well, something of it out.
And as they get inside, they all like close the doors, and then you're introduced to the rest of the characters as the cop.
Yeah.
I guess is that Machine Gun Kelly?
That's Machine Gun fucking Kelly.
Why? I don't know why he's in the film.
His career didn't take off after fucking Eminem squashed the fuck out of him.
Oh yeah, that happened in the same year.
Dude, he fucking destroyed... Eminem completely destroyed
Machine Gun Kelly. I don't know why we're talking about that.
You know what? It's relevant.
No, it's not relevant.
Because it happened in 2018.
That was 2018, like,
but now we're in 2019.
2019.
You know what happened?
Machine Gun Kelly did a great job.
Machine Gun Kelly, thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Mm-hmm. So you're introduced to a cop character. You're introduced to Machine Gun Kelly. Which, I don't know why.
He was there.
Douglas is there, which is John Malkovich, and then you got the Moonlight.
Oh, his name was Felix, right? Machine Gun Kelly.
Yeah, Felix was his name.
It was Felix.
Yeah, it was definitely Felix.
So we're introduced to Felix.
And then there's also Cheryl, who's an older lady that's there. Lucy, I believe, is the cop.
Yeah.
You're introduced to Charlie. Charlie's basically like this. He's like some sort of, I guess, he's religious apocalypse expert. Well, he's just writing a book.
Yeah, he's
writing a book, and he's trying to find out ideas to make it look like the most like unbelievable way possible. And then you also meet Greg, who is the owner of the house itself.
Okay, and we find out a little bit more about Greg later on.
Yeah.
But on this initial reaction, on this initial like first scene of meeting everybody, I like this a lot. Because what we have here is a group of people who don't know anything about each other, but are all from different backgrounds.
Yeah,
which I like a lot in post-apocalyptic.
What I did like a lot about it is they're all different.
Yeah, they're all different.
Very different, and they come from like, and it feels like a batch of movie characters and movie actors that you never would have thought would have been put in a movie together.
Yeah, that's true.
It's really interesting, and I think it works really well.
But yeah.
So we go on. They're all introduced to themselves, and from there, it's a little bit choppy from here.
What happens is that like, in some weird way, they start explaining like what happened to Douglas's wife, and
he explains that that's his wife.
Yeah, he explains that as his wife, and that she just jumped in. And to be honest, Douglas is fucking like, he's kind of losing it after this part, because what he does is Mallory just goes in. All she said was mom, and then she jumped in the car, and Douglas was just like, her mom has been dead for 10 years, and it's just like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah,
where's this movie going? Is what I thought. Like, holy shit!
It's really interesting because a lot of the characters are starting to get introduced to themselves, and they're all like not too sure what's going on.
Yeah.
And they start trying to figure out different ways to figure out what's going on outside, and they make sure not to go outside.
Yeah. They start closing the windows.
Yeah, closing the windows, and then they start deciding what they're going to eat, and that kind of becomes an issue for them too, because as they start to decide what they're going to eat or what they're trying to get away from eating, or not try to get away from eating, just basically stock up on food.
Yeah.
You see that they're running out of food and it's getting low, and that Greg, which is the housekeeper himself, decides that he has an idea on how to check on. I think he has an idea because he thinks that there's a way to see these creatures.
Yeah, see without them like seeing you.
Yeah. He thinks that's how they get you, is that they can see you,
like first contact.
And once they see you, you can't take it.
Yeah.
So he has an idea that he knows that the home has a camera.
Yeah. So he has these security cameras all around his house.
And he will watch it so that he can see it, and once he sees it, he knows that it has to see you for it to affect you.
Yeah. So what he's thinking is that it's a face-to-face like
kind of thing.
Type of thing, eye to eye.
He knows that he has to make this decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what he pretty much goes, and this story is really a non-linear story, where it's jumping back between what's happening on the initial reaction, what's happening 5 years later when Mallory's going down the river, and this is what happens when Mallory first encounters everything when she was pregnant, and then after she already had the kid, kind of what you already know, but one of the kids that Mallory's with is hers. And then what we're gonna find out throughout the movie is that the other kid is another woman's, and it's not hers. So she has two kids, one's hers and one's not. So,
oh yeah, it goes back to the kids, and you see them on the boat, and they're just kind of chilling there.
Yeah, does it jump back? It
jumps back and forth.
Yeah, it jumps back
until we're going to get into the time period.
So what I'm thinking is that they're already going down the river.
I think that before we even get to them being even introduced to the mother of the children of one of the children, Greg does that test, and then as he's doing that test up top, he finally sees it. Yeah. And he doesn't realize that seeing it actually affects him.
Yeah, so his hypothesis, I guess, was that these cameras will see heat vision,
so he can at least see what it is, body temperatures, and then he can figure out what it exactly
is. So he looks on the cameras and he's looking, and they don't know what they're getting themselves into, so they tie Greg down, and as Greg is watching it, Greg is in the room alone. Nobody's with them because they don't know what it is, and they're on and this whatever it is on the monitor, a computer monitor. And as we're watching it with Greg, we can see like kind of, I wouldn't say a dark entity, but like the bushes and everything rumbling around.
You just see he sees basically the shadow, and then he sees the thing itself.
He sees whatever it is, and
there's nothing there, but he is able to see it.
Yeah,
we cannot see it,
and and we come back to them, and they're just kind of staying back and not really doing much, and then they hear like rumbling upstairs where Greg is at, and they go up there and like they see Greg, and well, they don't see him, but they burst open the doors. They cover their eyes because they don't know what it is. And Greg, I think as soon as they open the door, Greg already like
leans. He leaned as much as he could to just smash his head into the
like some table, or I don't even know what it is. He smashes his head on like a hard object.
Yeah, he smashes his head like on like a wood stool that was there. Just
I thought it was a rock, but it probably is a wood stool.
Yeah, just to smash his head, and then he bleeds out, and he's dead. And they smashed the computer monitor that had whatever it was on there.
And
from there, they decided to like never do that again.
Yeah.
But they start running out of like food, I think, right? Or no, that's where I think they meet. So Tom hears a knock on the door, and they all freak out, like, "Whoa, what's going on?"
Yeah. Hold on. I think at this.
No. That hasn't happened yet. They first decide they got to go get food, and they've got to find a way to get food. But because of that experiment that Greg did, they've realized that it does have some sort of heat temperature.
Yeah.
So you know if it's close. Some sort of motion detector.
Yeah.
So they decide to take some sort of really cool fucking car that I didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
Which lets you know if you're
it's one of the newer models.
It lets you know everything around you if you're getting anywhere too close to some sort of, I guess, motion sensor.
Detector. It's all for safety. I don't know what exactly.
So they as they drive on, they start driving on to. They start driving on to the grocery store because that's where they're trying to go with all the windows covered. They go with Charlie, Mallory. It's Charlie, Mallory, Douglas, Tom. I think that's it.
And that police girl.
Yeah. And they're all just basically driving into the supermarket, and they start noticing that there's heat signatures all around them. Yeah. And as there's heat signatures around them, or like motion signatures around them.
And so like what they do is they black out the windows, so they've
already blacked out the windows, but they're trying to move and they don't know what's on them.
Yeah.
As the vehicle starts to move and shake a lot, so they're basically deciding like they've got
to get out of there.
They got to get out of there. And Tom just says, "You know what? I got nothing to lose." So he floors it, and as he floors it completely, they drive until they literally, I think, slide into the grocery store.
Yeah, they almost like crash into the building.
And they get out, put on like blindfolds, and slowly walk inside.
Yeah.
And as they slowly walk inside, they don't see. They get inside and they're good. They start just getting groceries, wines, drinks, and it seems like it's just pretty good. Like they've got everything that they can get. That's where Douglas starts to explain, like, why are you guys even thinking? He was pretty drunk. He starts drinking a lot.
Yeah, I mean, can you blame him?
Yeah. And he starts drinking a lot, and he starts telling them the truth of what he thinks. And he tells them, why are we even going to go back?
Yeah.
And if you think about it, he has a point. Like, why not?
Why not just stay there?
Why not just stay there? They have all the food they need there.
Yeah.
They can just block out the windows, and they'll survive for months. But as that's going on, they hear a knock.
Yeah.
It's like, help me.
Well, Mallory's character tells her, like, well, we're not fucking assholes.
Oh, yeah, so she does tell him that. She does tell him that. And he's like, whatever. But they do hear a voice and a knock at the door.
Yeah.
And there's a door where...
Charlie. Oh, well, this happened. Charlie's...
No, yeah, that is true. So they go to, like, this freezer.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, we did skip upon this. I do apologize if we just do a quick rewind. They had already opened a door before because they actually let Olympia in first.
They did.
So somebody did knock at the door at the house when they were all together, and it was a lady. And she opened the door, and they all were like really worried. And then when she walks in, they're all sketchy. Douglas definitely doesn't want her inside. And they have the gun straight to her.
Yeah, Douglas has a...
And they realize that she's just a good person, and they're kind of like, okay.
And she's also pregnant.
So yeah, she's also pregnant. So that is a side note. So fast forwarding back, Tom is at the freezer door. He's like, the guy that's inside there, because Charlie worked there. Worked there. And the guy that's inside there is like, help me, please.
And Charlie explains like who this guy is. Like Fish Fingers. I think his name was Fish Fingers.
Yeah, Fish Fingers.
He's like Fish Fingers. Like, man, I don't know. He's like, man, I was nice to him because like he went to prison and all, but that's all the thing. He's so like, please, help me. And he's just like, what the fuck? And they're like speculating, like, should we let him in, or should we do anything? What do we do? And like, Charlie's just like, oh man, I don't even know what to think right now. And so what they do is
they slightly open the door, and then Tom's like, "This is kind of weird."
Yeah.
And Charlie says, "I have a bad feeling about this." As he says that, Fish Fingers or whoever's in there, he literally breaks, tries to smash through the door. He's like, "You got to see it. You've got to see it."
Yeah, he was saying,
"You need to see it." And then he's too strong. He's way bigger than them. He's too strong for them. And they're losing control of the door, and they can't close it on him.
So they're like fighting.
And Charlie's panicking because he doesn't know what to do. He's just going crazy. He's like, fuck!
And he says, fuck it.
And he says, fuck it. Runs at him, tackles him into the freezer. They close the door. They lock it. And then Fishfinger looks at Charlie, or whatever happens in there. We're not too sure.
We're not too sure, but what we hear is...
Charlie looks at whatever he's talking about.
Yeah.
And then you see a pool of blood, implying that Charlie's killed himself.
Yeah.
And it's really sad.
Yeah. I don't know what Charlie used, but I think we heard like a sword or like
a knife. Definitely like a knife. He probably like cut his neck or something.
Something like that. And then Fishfinger's just like banging on the door again, like, let me in, please,
please, I'm sorry.
Okay. So that happens.
That happens, and they decide, fuck that. We're going to just go back.
Yeah.
So they decide to go back, and as they're going back, we actually go back to Mallory on the river. As she's on the river.
Okay.
I believe we might be butchering this, but I'm not too sure. So as they're on the river, I'm not too sure yet, but she's in the water. I think this is prior. I believe this is prior. If I am butchering this, I do apologize.
Yeah, no.
It's a little bit. It's a lot of back and forth timelines, so it's kind of hard to put these together.
Yeah, it's a really.
So before that happens, I do believe, she was on the river with the two children, and they're kind of coming up on this part of the river, and then you hear a guy go, Hey, it's okay. You can open your eyes.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Like, fucking stuck.
Mallory's like, hey, get down. Do not listen to him. Whatever you do not take off that blindfold. Don't listen to him. He's like, no, you're okay. You're good. You gotta come over here. Come over here.
Yeah, my initial reaction is like, oh, she made it.
My initial reaction was like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Like, what happened to all these people? Because prior to that, I didn't know. It definitely was before. Part of that, I was like, "What's this guy can see?"
Yeah.
And you see, she's kind of like, or she's decided like, we got to get out of here.
Yeah, she immediately points the gun like,
and she points the gun. She can't see, but she's pointing the gun and she's shooting. And this guy is in the water going up, and he grabs onto the boat and tries to knock the gun out of her hand, and is doing whatever it takes to get the gun in her hand. He's like, you gotta see it.
Yeah.
You gotta open your eyes. Yeah. You gotta see it. It's beautiful. And she's like getting over, like, she's basically losing this battle, but she somehow, I think, grabs the gun, shoots him in the arm.
Yeah.
She grabs his face, takes off his glasses, and then you realize his eyes are fine, but they're different.
Yeah.
He's like, he sees something mesmerizing. And that's also what I thought, something's weird. Because if it was an infection, how could he still be able to see?
Yeah.
If it's an infection, it all works in one different way, unless it's different strands, but that wouldn't make much sense. So that's where I started to believe there's possibly up to 3 different types of creatures that are doing these things, of manipulation of these people.
Okay. See, I was starting to... I don't know what I was starting to speculate this, but I was saying, like, this is interesting the way that the story's being handled, because, like, there's certain people that are being affected but aren't killing themselves. And these certain people are not good.
Those people that lose they're able to see. They're not the same though.
Yeah, they're not the same.
They're like servants.
Yeah.
Which are worse.
Yeah.
You think possibly they're worse than death because they don't see things like that anymore.
Yeah.
They've lost their mind. They're psychopaths now.
Yeah, they completely lost it all up there mentally. So what happens, Mallory?
So she shoots that guy, and he hits the water.
She gets a machete or something, and like hits him on the arm, and like he backs off.
I thought she shot him, and he starts bleeding out from his arm.
I don't know, one of the two.
She definitely does something to him, and injures him, and then he decides he just can't take it, and he starts to sink in the water because he's really hurt.
Yeah, and I don't know if he dies or...
I'm pretty sure he dies because he
couldn't... I'm sorry. I don't know if he killed himself. Or...
No, he definitely just died. He had nothing left.
Yeah.
So, he dies, and we go back to the past.
Yeah, back to the past.
And... Samurai Jack. So no. Sorry about that. I just had to put that in there. Mm-hmm. So we go back to the past, and you see that they've gotten the food, and they successfully get back, and they know they have a means of transportation now to where they can go get whatever they need for food, drinks, whatever.
Yeah.
But they've found ways to survive.
So they're good.
They're good.
So they think that they're good.
But through that, people start to connect a little bit more. Earlier in the film, there's a point where Felix goes up to the cop girl, and she's like, "There's not a chance in hell." He's all, "Baby, we're in an apocalypse."
He's all, I mean, come on.
After a while, who knows?
I was like, this guy's a fucking...
Yeah, Renee literally stops, and he's like, "Fuck, guy's a piece of shit." But I told Renee, I was like, "Dude, I mean, after a while, if you're just there with nobody left, you're gonna be like, fuck it, I got nothing to lose."
So... And, So
everybody's like, it's really weird. Things start happening. They go into, like, this really isn't that important, but I guess it kind of is. We go to the laundry room because Mallory needs to go do her laundry.
Well, Mallory I think starts hearing noises.
She starts hearing noises.
She doesn't know what it is.
She's going to go do her laundry. And as she goes to go do her laundry, she opens up the door and sees Felix and that one cop chick start doing it.
Yeah, they were fucking.
She was like, "Fuck."
She's like, "What the fuck?"
It was like really intense. I was like, "Damn, chill."
It was all dimmed and everything.
Yeah, and then she closes the door, and then Tom's like, "Yeah, you should probably wash your clothes tomorrow."
Or he's like, "You can't unsee that."
And they kind of like create like a friendship.
Yeah, they start,
She creates a friendship with Tom. She gets very close to Olympia.
Olympia, yeah.
Yeah, her and Olympia decide that they will become really close friends.
Because they're both pregnant.
Yeah, they're both pregnant, and they need company. And Olympia really wants to get close to her, so they start to create this bond. Yeah. And as they're creating this bond, Douglas is they're kind of like going through the motions. Yeah, they're surviving.
Douglas is all like, at this certain point, we're finding out that he's a real fucking despicable person and really hardened person.
He just really. He's really gone through a lot. He's really telling the truth.
He's really pessimistic.
Yeah.
He's really pessimistic. I wouldn't say he's good or bad. He's just really straight up and honest about everything, which makes him rude and an asshole.
So as time kind of goes by, Olympia decides that if something were to ever happen to her, she fully wants Mallory to take care of her child. Yeah. That's been decided. Mallory gets very close to Tom because Tom's very kind to her. Yeah. And a lot of the others... Oh, that's actually where we go back to this. Felix, out of nowhere one night, Felix and the cop girl, they just straight up go into the car they had. They open up the garage door and they drive off with the vehicle, which is never discussed again. Why the fuck did they do that? There was no real point. They were just like, fuck it.
They were safe in the house. I don't know why
they were safe in the house. I don't really... and then I think one of them says... you told me this. I looked at you. I was like, what was the point of that? Why they take the car? Where the fuck do they think they're going to go? Like, she was there. Yeah. She knows it was fucking crazy out there. And then I think I told you that, and you were like, "Man, love makes you do some crazy things."
Did I say that?
I was like, "Crazy, stupid, crazy, fucking stupid."
I did. Oh shit, I did say that.
Yeah, I was like, you were like, "I guess love makes you do crazy things." I was like, "This is just stupid shit."
I would never in a million.
I would have been like, "This house is chill. You're good. You're good. Everybody's pretty cool." Yeah. So we're all good. They've all decided they've created a pretty nice bond with each other, and somebody else knocks on the door. And each person they've kind of met because of Olympia being such a good person, they meet this.
No. Olympia lets him in.
Oh, Olympia lets him in one night. You're right. Olympia lets him in one night and doesn't tell anybody.
She doesn't say anything. He comes.
He was begging for her to let him in, and as he gets in, he's like terrified.
Yeah, he's all like, "I can't do it. What I've seen in the real world." What is happening out there is crazy. And
his name is Gary.
Is it Gary?
It's Gary.
Oh, well, when he comes in, Mallory has a gun on him.
Yeah, Mallory has a gun on him. She's like, what the heck are you doing? And she puts the gun straight to him, and he's like...
And Douglas is like, you don't even know how to use that gun. She cocks it 3 times, fucking injecting 3 shells in the shot.
That was to Olympia. When Mallory puts the gun to him, she has it, and then they are looking at him, and then he seems like he's just afraid. Yeah. And then Douglas grabs the gun, and Douglas goes, I don't know who you are or what you're doing here, but you're going to get the fuck out of here. This is not some fucking daycare. Yeah. I'm tired of this shit. You don't know who the fuck this guy is. You don't know what the fuck's going to happen. This is no longer a fucking daycare. If you want to go fucking help this guy, go help him outside the fucking house. John Malkovich. John Malkovich. I was like, damn, this is why they fucking paid him for this movie. This is literally why they paid him. And as you see that he's true. He's got a point. Yeah. Like, you don't know who this guy is. You don't know what's going on. And he starts to explain his whole story. And he says, where the fuck did you come from? And he's like, I'm so sorry. I was at my house one day.
He lives in the neighborhood, and a couple of his colleagues.
Yeah, they were in a house, just like someone else. Yeah. Just like them, basically. Yeah. And he says that they got one day a group of people arrived that could see. Yeah. And that were able to see just fine. But they were no longer like people. Yeah, they didn't have. They were like from the psych ward. Yeah. And they wanted all of his friends to just see. Yeah. And he was terrified. And one of his friends managed to take off the blindfolds and save him. And he got out of there and ran away. But they were hunting for him. Yeah. And that was really interesting, to be honest. Because, he was telling the truth. Whatever it was, I believed it. Yeah, I was like, wow. I fully believe. And Douglas was like, happen. I don't give a fuck. Yeah. What happened here? Get the fuck. And by that time, they grabbed like a vase and smashed it over the back of his head, and they knock him out and throw him inside the garage. And they decide like, nah, dude, you can let this Gary dude live. He's no biggie. And they're all kind of living around the house, and things are pretty all right. Gary's in the garage, and they're all deciding.
No, Gary's definitely with them.
No, Gary's not in the garage. Douglas is in the garage.
Douglas, yes, there Douglas is in the garage. Yeah, okay.
Douglas is in the garage, and the day it finally happens. Okay. Tom's gotten very close to Mallory by this time. They're starting to hit it off. And it's because of the relationship of his pregnancy, and he really cares about her. Yeah. And the day finally comes that Olympia water breaks, and she's going into birth.
She's going to labor.
And as that's going on, they're listening to music, some really nice classical music that Gary put on. He's having a really good time.
Gary's having a really good time just listening to some music, classical and they're all okay. Well, her water broke. Mallory goes to get water to calm her down, and as that happens, her water breaks. And she needs help upstairs as well. As she goes upstairs, they're both having kids. And Tom's just trying to help him out. And the first person who notices she's going into labor is Douglas. Because he sees her and he's like, oh, shoot. Yeah, let me in, Mallory. Like, come on. Yeah. And she's going into labor upstairs. As that going on, you see Gary. And Gary's kind of acting weird. Gary's kind of like to himself a little bit.
To himself. He's listening to music and he looks at the birds. Yeah. And as he looks at the birds, he puts the birds in the freezer. Yeah. And you see the birds.
Well, before we didn't explain that Mallory had found birds at the supermarket.
Oh, yeah. She found birds in the supermarket.
Which is weird.
She found birds in the supermarket and she noticed that the birds were the first ones. Because Charlie said, before we should rewind to this to make it make sense. Yeah. When basically that guy tried to attack them, Mallory noticed that the birds were chirping a lot, like panicking, as if they knew what was behind that door. And that's why Charlie says something doesn't feel right about this. And the birds, she decided that she thinks the birds can tell when something's wrong.
When that entity or whatever is coming
about. So when he saw that the birds were there and he picked them up, they started chirping at him.
They turned fucking loud.
And they closed he put him in the freezer, and Douglas noticed that. He's like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
What are you doing?
What the heck do you think you're doing? And as he does that, he grabs the garage and he opens it up and Douglas refuses to look outside.
Yeah, he just covers his face.
And Tom comes downstairs, and as Tom comes downstairs, he looks at Douglas. Is like, "What the heck's going on?" And he smashes something over Tom's head,
and he knocks out cold.
And
Tom had the shotgun with him?
No, yeah, Tom had the shotgun with him when he went downstairs.
Okay.
And Gary goes upstairs. Gary goes straight upstairs, and he's like having a good time, listening to music.
Hold on. Before this, Gary is listening to music by himself.
He was listening to music with everybody, but then he puts a record on.
And they all go, well, the ladies, start going into labor. So they all go upstairs, and what Gary does is he starts listening to classical music, but what Gary does is he opens his, briefcase or his bag or something, and he pulls out drawings.
This is what I thought was really interesting, too. That's actually something I completely forgot. He pulls out drawings and puts them on a desk, and it's a bunch of, different shapes of what the creature looks like.
We can assume that it's what the creatures look like.
And at this point, that's where I thought, whatever it was, they could only see.
Mm-hmm.
And when Tom went downstairs, he's like, "What the fuck is this?
Yeah.
What is this?" And that's where he gets knocked out.
Yeah.
And everything's going wrong. And upstairs, Olympia has her child, and Mallory has her child.
Yeah, they both have their child.
You find out Mallory has a boy, and that Olympia has a girl.
Yep.
And and it's good,
It's all good.
Yeah, and Gary goes upstairs, and you just realize Gary's done all this, and he goes upstairs. He's like, "Hey, that's so beautiful.
Yeah,
that's really beautiful." And they look at the kids, and he's like, "Can I look at them?" And he just looks at her child, and then he looks at Mallory's child, and he looks at them both. He's like, "Wow, that's so beautiful. You know what's as beautiful as that? This is beautiful." And he starts ripping the windows open,
like the newspaper off
the windows, so they could see the light, or whatever was outside.
Like, "Oh shit, cover your eyes!" They immediately close their eyes.
Mallory tries to cover her eyes, and the older lady tries to cover her eyes, but what's her name? Olympia looks.
Yeah, Olympia looks outside.
And she looks outside, and she's like, "Wow, that's so beautiful."
And she has her baby in her. Mallory immediately was just like, "Olympia, let me see your baby. Let me see your baby.
Let me see.
I just want to hold her. I just want to hold your baby real quick." And Olympia's just fucking flabbergasted by whatever she's seeing. So
she was really not going to give it to her, and she's like, "Just let me see it. Just whatever it is, just let me see it. Just let me see your baby, please. Just let me see it. Let me see it. Let me see it." And Olympia was like, "Just take it." And when she takes it, she just runs straight out. That was a vicious way to die.
Oh, yeah.
She jumps out that fucking window 360, not even 3, it was like a fucking,
she's like
boom, boom, boom. It was like she fucking swanton bombed like she was Jeff Hardy. It was horrific way to fucking die. I was like, fuck, what a, it was a big lady too, so boom. I was like, damn.
She front flip off
the house. Damn, impressive though. She could have maybe survived that. No chance.
She completely died.
You're right.
Glass all.
Horrific. But
so what happens here is that
Gary's just trying to tell him open your eyes.
He's just let the baby see. Let the
baby see. They need to see. And he goes for the older lady.
The older lady who helped them.
And he grabs her face. And this is where the big time meme comes. Yeah. Where a lot of people have got that meme. Where he grabs her and he forces her eyes open. And she has the scissors trying to fight back to him.
Yeah.
And her eyes open up and she sees it. And then she just grabs the scissors and starts stabbing herself in the neck.
Repeatedly.
Horrifically. Yeah, I was like, oh, damn. Chill. There's no need to die like that. Just one dead.
Yeah.
But no, she's been stabbed. So now it's just basically Mallory and the two kids. And I was like, wow. Game, set, match. And Gary was like, come on, let me see him.
Yeah, he's just like, you gotta see it.
You gotta see it. You gotta look at it. You need to see it. Don't you want to see it? Come on, look at it. Look at it. And as he goes up, you hear, hey, motherfucker.
And it's fucking
Douglas.
Okay,
badass.
Douglas has the shotgun. Now. Douglas has the shotgun.
Douglas did have the shotgun, but Tom had the shotgun because Douglas got locked in the garage.
No. What happens is that Douglas was pointing the shotgun at him, and Gary was like, you can't even see me, you can't even hear me. And Douglas is like, oh, fuck, I can't see him.
You can't see him.
And he's not going to open his eyes because Douglas is fucking a badass, and he will not open his eyes to save Mallory, which I noticed about Douglas himself. But he's going to do whatever he can to try and shoot this guy. So he ends up shooting him and grazing him on the arm. He gets tis but a flesh wound. He gets a flesh wound, and he's just like, oh shit. And Gary, what he does is he lunges at Douglas, and they fall off the balcony, off the second story, onto the kitchen floor. And this is like where the shotgun. This is where Tom is still knocked out because I think Gary had smashed his head with the vase or something like that, and the shotgun that Douglas had gets knocked over by next to Tom. And now Gary's over Douglas. Douglas is an older man, so he most likely broke something, and Gary's hell-bent on his psychotic...
He tells him, he looks him in the eyes and he tells him, I'm so sorry that you're not going to be able to see it. I'm very sorry. And he grabs the scissors and he just starts stabbing him in the chest. Repeatedly. He's bleeding out. Yeah. Douglas is done. Douglas has died. And you see Gary look at Tom, and they're both going for the gun, but Gary's now damaged.
Yeah.
So Gary doesn't have enough strength. But the thing is that Gary has the gun on the opposite side, so Gary has the advantage, and Tom is not. And Tom's going for the gun, and you see him like kind of fighting, kind of struggling to get it. But Tom looks like he has no strength left.
Yeah. And Gary's kind of still putting up a fight.
And Gary's still kind of putting up a fight. We go back to Mallory. You hear a gunshot. It's silent. You go back. She's like just terrified. She's like, please not. Please no. Please no. And they pull over the covers, or he goes underneath the covers, and
he touches her shoulder. And
it's
at that point I thought it was Gary.
And it was Tom.
It was Tom.
Tom somehow found a way. Tom was a badass.
Tom is complete fucking
badass. Tom was like, hey, we're good.
He's okay.
And as we go there, we actually go Back to the Future. Anyway, so we go Back to the Future, and as we go Back to the Future, we see she has to make a decision. She starts explaining to the two kids. One of you, at a certain point, will have to see the rapids. That's the thing.
Yeah.
One of you will need to look. And she was like, well, the girl's like, well, what if we see something? And they look at each other, and that was the only way to get past the rapids.
Yeah, because
at a certain point, we're like, whoa, somebody has to look. That's pretty heavy. And we go back to the past.
Back to the past.
Boom! We're back to the past. And as we go back to the past, we look. And now Tom has created a relationship, and now they're living in this home by themselves. Yeah. But they're finding ways to do things.
They're finding ways to figure out how to live in this world.
And Mallory has figured out different methods to getting around. Yeah. She goes and hunts. She finds a bell so she can put it on the kids.
Yeah.
So they can just press that bell and she can find them.
And she's teaching the kids how to also live in this world.
But the thing is that Tom discusses with her, like, hey, you need to know, like, you're calling them boy and girl.
Yeah.
Like, you haven't even given their names. And the reason why is because Mallory doesn't see them as, like, oh, this is a world, there's nothing here.
Yeah.
So she's, I guess, not trying to create this idea of hope. She's just trying to create the idea of survival.
I think she just doesn't want to... I personally think that she doesn't want to, like, build this relationship with these two children, and then they get killed, and she just loses
That's
them.
a good way to put it. It's very sad.
Yeah. It's sad that she has to think like that, you know?
But one night when they're always so throughout the film, you see them trying to communicate with the radio all the time.
Yeah.
And one night with the radio, they get
feedback.
They get feedback or transmission. And it's this guy, Rick.
Is it Rick?
I believe it's Rick.
Oh. Well, we don't know at this point.
No, I think it's Rick for sure.
Is it Rick?
Yeah, it's definitely Rick.
Okay.
A survivor named Rick is contacting them, and he's saying, hey, if there's anybody out there, please let me talk. And then that's where what's his name? Tom.
Yeah.
Tom talks back, and he's like, oh, yeah, we're survivors. And he asks them if they have kids. Tom tells them that he has kids, and that... No, he doesn't tell me he has kids. He says it's just them two.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get past... And Rick just basically explains to them that if you go through the river and you get past the rapids, that you can find them where the birds are calling. and they explain that to them. And Mallory doesn't trust it. Mallory doesn't trust it because she's like,
no.
She's like, no way. You don't know if this guy's telling the truth. You've already had bad experiences with Gary. They trusted Gary, and Gary was a liar.
So Mallory has huge trust issues.
Yeah, Mallory has huge trust issues. She's not sure what's going on. So because of this, not Gary, Tom discusses it with her, like, there's a possibility to do this.
Yeah.
But Rick does imply, and this is where we find out what he meant. He says, if you go in the rapids, the reason why we were worried if you have children was the rapids can get rough.
And someone's definitely going to have to guide you.
And somebody has to guide you, so somebody has to look clearly. It's the only way to get through. Yeah. We've had too many people lose their lives trying to go through without seeing.
Yeah. And
as we go to that, they kind of explain, like, Mallory explains, like, there's no way we can do this. It's too risky. We have children. This guy is probably bullshit, and there's no way.
Yeah.
And Tom starts to create ideas to the kids, like, there is a world beyond this. There's kids where kids play with each other and have good times. And it's really nice because he's trying to create hope, but Mallory's very frustrated about that.
She's like, why are you giving these kids hope?
We're giving these kids hope, and she really throws, it's really hard on the girl.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't want her to believe that there's this idea of hope.
Yeah.
She just wants her to survive. And as that's going on, one day they go to...
I think they're scavenging around.
They're scavenging around these homes around,
houses.
And a couple of vehicles pull up.
Yeah.
And the thing about this one this time is that she had these same people show up once.
Yeah.
It's like a group of... There's two vehicles and there's people that come out and they can see. Obviously, they can see it.
They're lost too. They're psychotic.
Yeah, they're psychotic. They can see and they just want you to see whatever's out there. They just want you to open your eyes.
Yeah.
And they once went to a home, but they did not see anybody in there.
Yeah.
So, because of that situation, Mallory got a little bit freaked out, and they would do all the hunting and scavenging together. Mm-hmm. So when they went to this home this time, they showed up. And they knew they were there this time.
Oh, yeah.
And because they knew they were there, he decides, hey, you guys go to the back. I'll hold them off from the front as much as I can. And you just get out of here. If I don't come back, you take the river and you go. Uh-huh. And... do you remember that specifically?
It's kind of hazy.
A little bit vague?
Yeah.
So, from what I remember, he goes outside and they tell him, like, hey, man, what's going on?
Like, just look.
And he's like, hey, man, where...
And he has his eyes closed.
He has his eyes closed.
Yeah.
And he tells them, like, hey, it's just me. And he's like, we don't believe you, man. And they see a family.
Yeah, they see the
family. And they tell him, like, hey, man, why don't you open your eyes, man?
And so they say...
And they see their family, and they say, go for the family.
And what Tom does at this moment is he opens his eyes.
No, not yet. No. Not yet. He shoots them, but he can't really see. Yeah. So he shoots them off hearing their voices.
Yeah.
And as he shoots them, he's military trained, so he hits them, boom, boom. Shoots two people down, and they're shot instantly. No, some of them are dead, some of them are not. Oh, some of them have already been shot down and hit the floor, but they shoot him in the arm. And as he's down, he realizes, I've got no choice here.
Yeah.
He's got to do whatever it takes to protect her. He's fallen deeply in love with Mallory. Mallory's everything to her. He protects her. He is her everything. And before they did leave, he gave her his medallion that was on his neck to, like, symbolize that he will always be there with her, which is really sweet. And he has his gun, and he decides, which is at your point.
Well, he just, like, opens his eyes and he starts.
He says, fuck it.
He just says, fuck it. And he starts shooting at them.
And you realize with his eyes, he's a beast.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's just boom, 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 killing each of them easily.
Them. Just boom, boom, dead. Two of them. And then, like, I think what happens is that they somehow run away.
There's one that went on to go look for her.
Yeah.
And he...
Oh, yeah, that's right. And he chased him.
And as he's chasing him, this is, like, I think one of the greatest moments in the film. As he's chasing him... Tom looks back, and it was his biggest mistake. Yeah. Tom looks back, and he finally sees it. And you can see his eyes are going bloodshot black, kind of reddish green. Yeah. And he is looking, but what I really like a lot is that he sees it, realizes that whatever he sees will push him into killing himself.
Mm-hmm.
But the strength of the love of his family, of her, of the boy, of the girl, he was strong enough
to
hold off. He pulled his eyes away, looked at the guy, pulled his gun up, straight up, shot him, killed him on the spot, gun straight to his head, blows his own brains out. Horror, such a sad way. One of the best characters in the film, Tom. Awesome character. Kills himself, but had the will to do whatever it took to kill him first before he would kill himself.
Yeah. It was, man. Beautiful.
Beautiful way.
Beautiful. He was one of the strongest characters in this fucking movie.
Him and Douglas, they both redeemed themselves in a sense.
Yeah.
I mean, Tom never had any,
he was almost like a perfect character.
He was an awesome character. Yeah. Douglas had like that what he did is at the end is redeeming quality with that whole death.
Yeah, he was despicable, but it's understandable.
But it's understandable that with his wife's death, he has nothing to live for. But he cared enough about Mallory, which we didn't know. He had cared enough to protect her. But so this happens. Mallory comes back, and now we're finally getting back to the future, where we go back
to the future.
We're back to the future, and as we're going to the future. We see how she ended up deciding we gotta go back. Yeah. We gotta go to the raft. She goes on the rapids. They go on, and she gets stuck, and they lose food and shelter by hitting some truck that's in the water.
They hit a truck and the boat flips over.
The boat flips over. She saves the two kids.
Yeah,
but she loses the food.
Yeah, she loses.
So she goes to like this little cabin that's like out of nowhere, and. As she goes in there, she has like this wire.
Which is extremely lucky that she was able to find this.
She found something, and I was lucky enough. But she found that. She goes in there, and as she's going in there, which I thought was a really cool fucking scene, is that she tells the kids to get down and do not look.
No matter what.
No matter what. Do not look up. Do not open your eyes, and do not leave the boat.
No matter what.
No matter what. And Mallory's inside this little cabin. And I thought it was really cool is when she knew that if something was there, she knew what she would have to do. And she could open her eyes because she was inside.
Yeah.
But she sees the wire pulling the couch, or like the bed frame, the metal bed frame, and it's pulling it all the way to the end of the door.
And it's like,
she's like, holy fuck.
He's got
this force. This force, it's definitely there. And as she starts to pull up her gun to get close to it, she looks at the back door, and it starts to she can see the shadows running past it.
Yeah.
At that point, she realizes, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
And she
books it, and she's just going with the wiring, but she can feel the voices speaking to her.
Yeah.
And at this point, the little girl starts walking around trying to find Mallory to see if she can help her.
I don't know why she did this, but this little girl...
She's innocent. You she's understand.
Yeah.
She starts to go look for Mallory to see if she can find her. Yeah. And as she's trying to go look to see for Mallory, she hears Mallory say, "I'm here. You can just open your eyes."
Yeah.
And she says, "Really? I can open them?" It's like, "Yes. Open your eyes. Open your eyes."
Yeah.
Open your eye. And as she's about to open her eyes, she takes off the blindfold. She's about to open it, and you just see her get pulled. And at that point, I was like, "Oh fuck, they got her!" But it wasn't. There was like a rope behind her, and she was being pulled back completely by Mallory. And she says, "Oh, did I tell you not to open your eyes? I told you no matter what. If I don't show up, it's up to you two to survive." I was
that's
like, damn.
Fucking heavy right there.
Holding a little girl, she's probably like
little
2.
5-year-old girl.
Was she 5? She looked like she was like 2.
She's a little 5-year-old girl.
Told her to her face, like, if I don't make it, it's up to you. You're gonna survive no matter what. And this little girl's like,
she's like
destroyed.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't understand what's going on.
Yeah.
It's pretty sad.
Yeah.
So she takes her. They go back on the boat, and they start to decide on the rapids. And we get back to this point where she explained earlier, like, somebody's got to look. And you look at both of them, and as she's deciding, she says, it's real sad.
It's like she says, "Who wants?"
It's real sad because she doesn't want either one. And as they're trying to decide, her son is saying, I'll do it.
Yeah.
She's like, "No, I'll pick." And then Mallory looks at the little girl, and she goes, "I'll do it," and she starts crying, and then Mallory starts crying, and then at that point, I thought she was gonna be like, "You're gonna do it," and I was like, "Fuck, that's fucked up." Sacrifice her to save her son and herself, but I love what she says when she goes, "Nobody's looking. We're gonna either do this. We already gotten this far. We're not looking. Nobody's looking. We're gonna do this together." And man, that takes big cojones to go that far and to do whatever it takes to not look.
And I love this setup too, where it's just like them versus the Rapids.
Versus the Rapids.
And what they do is...
Rapids were brutal.
They were fucking... It was brutal. Waterfall.
It was a waterfall.
It was like a waterfall.
They lost control of the boat. The reason why they needed a guide is because they literally couldn't see where they were going.
They literally were hitting.
They lost control of which way it was forward and backwards. They were going just crazy until the point where they fell out of the boat.
They fell out of the boat.
Fell out of the boat. Luckily, the boy finds a rock and he stays on the rock. And
he was able to call out for Mallory, and Mallory finds him.
Mallory finds him, even though Mallory's panicking. She was just has no way to find him. And then the bell that she's given, the little girl has the bell, so she starts hitting the bell, and they finally find themselves on shore.
Yeah.
And as they hear the bell, she finds her, and she's happy she found the girl.
Yeah, and the girl also hung on to the birds.
Yeah, hold on to the birds. Yeah, because they had the birds there too. By the way, that's what she was going to take the birds so she would know if it was coming.
Yeah, if the entity was coming.
So
that's what I'm calling it.
She starts to follow the birds. So when he said that once you get past the rapids, you'll know where we're at. Just follow the sounds of the birds. Mm-hmm. So she starts to go follow it. But I think personally, at a certain point, you can hear beyond. She could not hear the birds anymore because whatever these entities were that you were explaining or creatures, they were blocking out the sound.
They were louder.
They were louder than that. And they were telling each of them to open your eyes, open your eyes. Yeah. And she... Mallory falls.
Mallory panics and she starts running.
She starts running and she accidentally trips and falls and hits into a tree. And she hits down. And when that happens, her sister Jessica's telling her, you need to open your eyes. Come on, just open your eyes. She's like, no. And what's it called? Little girl is walking around, and her little boy's walking around.
They got separated.
They got separated, and then all they hear is Mallory's voice saying, "It's okay, you can open your eyes.
Yeah, and they're
it's
like,
all right.
What? You told us
not to. You told us not to, no matter what. No, it's okay. Open your eyes. Just open your eyes."
And then you hear her in the distance, just like, "No, don't.
No, don't fucking do it. You can do whatever you want to me. Just don't take them from me.
Yeah.
Don't take them from me." And that's when her son comes out, and he's ringing the bell, and she finds her son, and he says, "You can't. She's afraid of you."
Yeah.
And she starts to tell her the story that Tom never finished.
Yeah, she said, "I'm sorry."
She tells her, "I'm sorry." Then she starts telling her the story that Tom was telling her about the little kids playing in the playground and what really happens, and telling her basically this childhood life that's magical and it's possible and that she can do whatever she wants to be and she will support her. And because she was hearing Mallory telling her to take off the blindfold and look, she was more entertained by that story. She wanted to find out more.
Yeah.
And by the time she walks up to her herself, and she finds her, and she hugs her, and now they can be together. And she's like, "We just gotta keep following the birds." And as they keep walking the birds, this is the most scariest part.
She picks him up and she runs.
She starts running, and then she hears Tom. She's like, "Tom?" And he stops, and then they're like. Papa or something like that. I don't know if they call him Dad or something. I might be butchering that.
I think just Tom.
I think they're saying Tom too. And then he says, "I'm here. Don't worry. Just look at me."
Yeah.
Just look at me.
Just take off your blindfold.
Take off your blindfold. And as she hears that, she just books it.
Yeah.
And they're running and running, and you can hear the voices. The voices.
All the people that they.
And what's crazy too is you just see the wind blowing through the grass, trying to keep up with them. It
looks like it was killing the grass.
Killing the grass. Trying to keep up with her, to get her to open her eyes. They knew it was the only way to get her to...
Yeah.
To hurt her. And as she keeps running, she's getting closer and closer to the door. Yeah. And no longer can she hear the birds, but she sees the door, so she runs towards the door.
Yeah.
And they're just all in her ear, "Open your eyes, open your eyes." And the little girl starts crying, the little boy starts crying.
Yeah, she just
bangs on the door. "Please let me in, please let me in. If anything, just let my kids in. I don't care about me. Just let them in, just let them in. Yeah. I don't care what happens to me." You can hear the voices like crazy.
Yeah.
At that point, you realize how crazy it is, whatever these creatures were. And the door opens and pulls them in, and the first thing they do is pull off the blindfolds, pulls flashlights in their eyes to check see if those were the eyes. And they realize that they weren't.
That they were completely fine.
And she walks around. She's like,
what is this?
Rick's here. And as she walks up to meet Rick, he shows her like this beautiful bird cage that you were talking about.
Yeah.
Or bird box, which is what the movie's called. And you realize he's blind. And it's an institution of people that are blind or have some sort of deficiency from seeing.
Yeah.
As you look at that and you see that, she recognizes this is what they were looking for, and that Rick really was a good person.
And it's crazy because they come out into the courtyard where what they find is a bunch of people who are blind and living life, but what we see is happy.
And they're happy, just living the way they are.
Yeah, and they go into the courtyard, and what they
see, could never be affected because they could never see it.
Yeah, they can't see it.
So they were always going to be fine.
Yeah, so they go out and they see a bunch. They go out to like the courtyard. They see a bunch of kids like running around and playing, and
little kids.
And then the person of interest, Mallory's doctor
comes up. And when Mallory's doctor comes up, she talks to her and she says, "Wow, those are your children." And she explains to her. And I think they try to introduce themselves as boy and girl.
Yeah.
And she goes down. She's like, "No, your name's not boy and girl." She tells the girl's name. Her name's Olympia for her mother.
Yeah. And
then her son's name, she gives him the son's name of Tom. Because Tom was her son's, was basically the love of her life.
Yeah.
And she introduces her to the doctor who had basically helped her during her pregnancy.
Yeah.
And we go to the birds that she had, and she finally releases them so they could be with the rest of the birds.
Yeah, she's like, let's release these birds. And it ends on a beautiful shot with the kids playing with the other kids.
Yeah, the kids playing with the other kids, and they finally found society again, and they can live in somewhat in an area where they can be happy in a sense.
Yeah. Okay, so that is pretty much the entire film of Bird Box. Now, I have some analytics or analysis running around in my head. Now, okay, this might fucking...
Yeah, you go first.
I'm going to say right now, this is not solid or concrete. This is me just thinking completely off my head. I haven't seen any Bird Box ending explained videos on YouTube. I haven't seen any of that yet. But what I thought of this was something biblical, something that happens in the Bible, which is this right here. This scenario is Judgment Day, and what's happening here is how the coming of Jesus Christ, and how he's going to rid the world of filth, and how I think that this will be accomplished is by this entity going around and confusing people's minds into killing themselves. And what I'm thinking is that the good who do kill themselves, will judgment be passed upon them. And that the people who completely went psychotic are going to stay on Earth and live out the rest of their lives just like that. And I think they became like minions of, I'm going to say, Satan, who are doing his pretty much dirty work and confusing people into, or making people into looking at the entity and them having judgment be passed upon them. Now, I do not think that's fully concrete, considering that the blind people can't see this entity. And from there, it kind of has a plot hole or like loop in my analysis. But this could just be some sort of dark type of entity that we don't really know how it entered the world, and that some people have a chance of fighting it, and most of the population doesn't. And that's kind of where I'm left at with this movie.
So you're coming at it from like some sort of religious.
Yeah, like I see it as a religious kind of like apocalyptic film, as like it's Judgment Day has come. That's how I see it. Huh? How do you see it?
Huh. When I watched it, I wasn't really trying to think of a meaning to it. I kind of just more watched it just to watch it and enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah.
If there was a meaning to it, it does feel like some sort of chapters of some sort of deeper meaning.
Yeah.
Each kind of person has some sort of...
fault?
I wouldn't say fault. It seemed like it wasn't even really some sort of... to be honest, I really couldn't see it like just that. Like, I didn't see any like meaning necessarily towards it. I didn't see it in that kind of aspect. I came out of the film kind of just thinking that sometimes maybe the fortunate aren't the ones that, like we in society and life, I guess best way to put it, we get sometimes blessed with advantages. Some of us are wealthier than others. Some of us some of us don't have much more disabilities. Some of us are in great shape all the time.
Yeah.
We have great metabolisms. Maybe some of us are gifted with, who knows? There's many opportunities for jobs or whatever, and you think those opportunities that you're given automatically put you in a place where that helps you. And in this movie, you kind of see it as that not necessarily. The disability of not seeing sometimes is a blessing. And in this movie, it's one of the first times where I see it as, because usually when people look at disabilities, you look at it as a negative aspect. But in this film, you don't see it like that.
It would actually help you.
It was like a blessing.
Yeah.
It was a blessing that you could not see. And it's really interesting just to think about it like that, considering we're really blessed to have advantages. Some people have families and lives. In this film, you had a family, or if you were close to somebody, you were killed. And if you were wealthy, you might go crazy and you'd be insane and you would force people to kill yourself. There was no living the ordinary life, living the normal life, living the wealthy life. Each person in this film, they came from all different aspects. When they sat in that room originally in the beginning of the film, and they were all those people meeting each other, they were all just ordinary people. They didn't have very many, disabilities, or they were all come from different aspects, but they all have the same similar goal.
Yeah.
And that was just to survive, and it kind of just is interesting to look at it like that. I come out of the film, most definitely, I like this film a lot.
Yeah, I love this
If
film.
I were to say anything about it, I think it's really good. I don't understand why people wouldn't like it. I mean, I guess if you're looking for a monster movie, you're kind of disappointed, but I think just the idea behind it, and so many open-ended questions you could be asking, like, how do people go crazy? I mean, are you still yourself?
Yeah, that's true.
Are you still yourself?
There's so many questions behind it.
There's so many open-ended questions where if there was a second movie or if there was a series to this, it'd be very interesting. And I think it's a really fresh idea. I think this movie kind of reminds me... I really don't like to talk about...
Mark Wahlberg.
I don't really like to talk about The Happening. I think this is a much better attempt of what The Happening was kind of going for.
Yeah. And
I really like this movie a lot. I think this movie's very good. And I think if you don't want to watch it, I think it's... Quite frankly, it lives up to the memes hype. If the memes pulled you in and made you want to watch it, I think it's definitely a must-watch.
Yeah, it pretty much pulled me in.
Yeah.
I don't know if Netflix had some master plan of planting memes all over.
It's just a really well-casted film. It's got a lot of big moments, and it's got a really interesting story.
Yeah,
I think it's really interesting. I like the narrative of. In this movie, there's not love conquers all. Love does not, in a sense, I guess it conquers all, but in certain aspects it does not, because there's many characters in that film that are sacrificed through love.
Yeah.
So it's just a film about survival and your accomplishment, and sometimes your goals are strong enough to push you above everything else to at least get to what you need to do, to at least to survive. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. Oh, that's really good.
Did you like it a lot?
Oh yeah, I loved it. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like I don't really see anything wrong with it.
I thought it was really good.
It's a really great movie.
It's a great way to start off 2019 for me, at least, for one of the movies. I think it came out last year, but it's unfortunate that, I mean, it's on Netflix. I guess a lot of people will just skip on it, but it's really good.
Yeah, there's so much shit.
If you're looking for something dark and something, maybe some people have seen a movie very similar to it, and they're looking for more originality. But I think it's pretty original, and it's a cool concept, and you should definitely watch it if you get the chance.
Yeah.
And if you have watched it, give us some feedback. Let us know what you guys thought, because I mean, it's pretty complex.
Yeah, it's a really complex storyline,
and it's really open-ended. And I mean, the ending is pretty concrete, but it's pretty open-ended. What did y'all think about that world? What did you think was happening to the people? What do you think the people were seeing? Why do y'all think that this was happening to them? I would like to, if anybody is listening, I'd like for y'all to see if y'all could answer those questions, because I would like to hear what people's got to say about it.
Yeah, I would too. From the feedback that we have both been getting, I think it's pretty great.
Yeah.
Actually, any feedback at all is really good or bad. I'm completely game for whatever you guys have to say.
Sure. Just let us know. This has been Bird Box. We hope you've enjoyed listening to what we've got. I know that we came out a little bit more serious tone again. I think it had been a while for us. Yeah. We're kind of going on a silly streak, and we kind of wanted to just entertain. I hope this is kind of like a
this is a relaxing, I hope relaxing.
Just a little bit step back for us, just so that we can talk to you guys, and maybe we can get some opinions from y'all.
Yeah.
Okay. So Bird Box. Hope you liked it, and hope you, if you haven't watched it, watch it.
All right.
I love you. You're stupid.